All right. So fast forward, bro. Found out we were pregnant. Said I better get my shit together. And at that point, you guys, I'm like, I got to get out of my mom's house. And so it was at that time where I was actually doing relatively well with Rosie and kind of like inspiring people on my Instagram page of what I was able to get Rosie to go from, because everybody knew I practiced all the wrong things with Rosie and her manners were terrible. And then sort of at 2 years old, I sort of started reversing those things and I documented all of it. And I showed the people that I had the ability to reverse horrible behaviors that I basically instilled in a dog that was already fucking high drive, that was already rambunctious, right? And so I was like, okay, she was working for this guy, Ralph, and she started taking board and trains from Ralph and at our new place. So we moved. One of my first big moves was moving into a 3-bedroom house in Riverside, where the rent was like at the time so fucking intimidating to me because I was living for free at my mom's, I was only making, let's see, if I got a full work at the time I was working demolition and my boss didn't have work for me every fucking week. There was times where I had to take time off because he didn't have the work. And so I would make for a full week, this is insane to think about, $500 to $600 for a whole week of working 8-hour days as a guy that just went in and
doing construction.
Yeah.
That's hard.
I was
labor.
making a small piece of daily wage, about $120 a day, right? Didn't come out to fuck all, but it was like, that was my job. That was for sure money. Right. And so
right.
It
was safe.
I was like, not even saving, but I was like, I could probably pay the rent at this place with that. Right.
Yeah.
And then finally I was like, fuck, man, let's just do this dog training thing, man. I started, I was practicing on all these rescue dogs, so I got a lot under my belt, had a lot of experience practicing all the things I've been learning on these other dogs. And for the young dog trainers listening to this podcast right now, if you're still here, what it boiled down to, that in my mind, where I was like, fuck it, I'm going to just start training dogs and putting it out there that this is what I do now. And I would love the opportunity. It was, can I make a positive difference in a dog's life? Can I do this? Can I help somebody? I simplified it at that. Can I help somebody understand their dog better? Can I help change some of these behaviors for them? Can I do that? And at that point, I was like, I've done it. I've done it before. I could do it, but I've never taken money from people. You know what I mean? So like,
right.
That thing, like, what do I charge? And I look at when I started out charging, if I made a single dollar doing that, I was like, oh my God, I'll do Carr.
You're like, nailed it.
I made a fucking $1 dog training, right? So my prices at the beginning were ridiculously low, because I didn't know, you don't know what to charge and you're still earning stripes, right?
Right.
And so it was just like this growth, like this process that you kind of went through and you kind of had to go off the fly, on the fly, kind of like figure it out as you go a little bit. And so she was taking dogs from her mentor, getting half the pay for what, so he was getting half of what, because he's not doing any work. And so
she was doing all the work.
Yeah. So again, we're pregnant. So I'm actually training his dogs. I was doing the work.
Nice.
So she got to just kind of be this, pregnant lady and shit, and not like have to train dogs while she's pregnant. You know what I mean? So
lucky.
I was getting all this practice in, making that little bit of money from him. And then also taking on cases, and I had a house full of dogs and I'm still making like, not even close to what we're making these days, but that's how it happened, man, and we got to a place where like, oh, we got this now, we kind of got this consistent flow. Now these people are telling other people like, this is what I do. So the manifestation of it was very real in the sense that back then my content was different because I was constantly showing what I can do, constantly talking about the lessons that I learned, constantly dog training this, manifesting it into a reality, showing people this is what I do and what I want to do, being very passionate about it. I had, again, my why, my inspiration, that was the driving force, and people could see and feel that. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when you tell your story, I have a family now. This is why I do it. People want to help that as well. You know,
Right.
very focused and very, very want to be successful for my family. And if somebody's going to support you for anything, maybe they'll, even if you're not the best dog trainer in the world, maybe they'll support you just because you fucking loved your family. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's
Right.
many reasons why people will choose me. And, you know, you'd like to think that some of it is obviously because I'm skilled at my job, but it's also because of what they see come from me. You know, it's not just that he's good with dogs. It's that this fool protects his dogs. This fool loves his dogs. This fool isn't a cookie cutter motherfucker, and he'll do whatever my dog needs, not what
people feel safe with you.
Thank you so
feel
much.
Secure.
We got two-way here. We got two-way in the house. We got cameras on the whole property. We're very safe here at Team Floppy Ears. But yeah, man, so it was a multitude of things. But it was the relentless, like, talking about back against the wall. I have no choice. This is what's happening. It was scary as fuck. Sometimes in life, so far, you're going to be put in these positions where sink or swim. And if you have enough inspiration and if you got good people around you, you're going to swim, man, even if it's scary. Yeah. So that rent, it stopped being scary. You know, when I thought, fuck, I go from this to that, you're like, oh man, it's like totally scary. And then I've experienced this not too long ago. The rent on this property, my mortgage on this property is double what it was over there. And I was like, fuck, we're doing this again? And, you know,
dude, that reminds me so much of like how I've lived my life, because you know, everyone always tries to teach you these lessons. Like you got to save and you got to do this and you got to do that. The way that I learned to make money was I just raised my expenses. So like, you know, as soon as I could afford a $900 room in an apartment in LA, I did it. And then I would still be broke. So then I would keep hustling.
Yep.
And then I'd make more money. And then all of a sudden I could afford a $2,000 apartment in freaking West LA. And I'm just like, that's great. And I'm only making $2,500 a month. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But then I keep hustling. And so the idea of like I just raised my expenses versus actually saving. Now, that's not the wisest thing to do, but it did do something for me. And maybe you can relate. It forced me to keep the drive strong. And it kept me
because if you
pushing.
don't, then it's back to mom's fucking spare room floor, baby.
Yeah, and no way in hell did I want to do that, right?
No.
Right, and so it's really cool to hear your story, because I always make this joke when people like my clients. I'm sure that clients ask you like, how'd you get into this, or maybe they already know because they follow you, right? But like people ask me, and I make this joke. I'm like, you know how like drug dealers, they go like, I didn't find the game found me, kind of thing. You know, like they say stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, like when I was 18, when I became a dog trainer, I was 18 and I was in school for film and television, and I had a theater minor. You know what I mean? Like I was going to school for something completely different. Yeah. And the dog training thing comes and consumes you.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of this quote from Jordan Peterson. I'm going to butcher the quote, but the essence of the quote is, he says, you know, people chase happiness all the time. And the problem with happiness is that happiness is fleeting. And what you should do is you should chase meaning in your life.
Yeah.
You know, and that is such a powerful thing. Because
I love that.
Even at 18, when I was introduced to dog training, I saw meaning in it. I saw meaning that dug deep, right? And allowed me to be different versions of myself, the teacher, the actor, the performer, the entertainer. Like it allowed me to be all these different things. And I see that in you, and I see why you're so successful. And I see not only are you just like mechanically gifted and coordinated and all these things where, you know, you could be good at construction if you really were passionate about it. You could be good at fucking BMXing if you're really passionate about it. And that's a cool thing, to meet someone of a caliber who really is just a matter of your focus, because it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to be successful at it.
Thanks,
and
man.
That's really cool, man.
That means
that's really
a lot
cool.
to me.
So,
thank you, brother Brent. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. And you know, and it's like, And I know these things are like Mariano has similar traits. I have similar traits. A lot of the people that we interview, like we research a shit ton, and like we try and figure out like, who is this person? Who is this person? And it's so funny because even though we're catering to young dog trainers, like we want to bring people on who are going to help inspire these people, you know, because like right now I have like four shadows that I'm working with, and this episode I'm going to make them listen to it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, dude,
it's really cool, man. It's really cool.
I go back to saying like, one of the reasons why I said I don't really feel like I'm special is because I feel like anybody that gets that twinkle in their eye about it can do it, you know, like, because most of it's practical, you know, there's obviously that in-depth behavioral fucking modification shit that's like brain busting. And it's like, you know, you got to have a certain level of like strength and balls to get into that side. But I mean, you could help so many people in this game without even diving into those types of cases, you know, like,
just like we're just fundamentals.
The
funny thing
and
is,
like, I was going to say, like,
go ahead,
inspiring people, like, with truth that you just present this, and none of it's brain busting. They're like, man, you know what? You know, I can do that, or I should be doing that. Like, you know, humanizing the dog. Like, most people humanize the dog. Stop doing that. You know, and, like, if you can inspire them, then, man, they're getting their money's worth. Like,
for sure.
You know,
but you're explaining actually the reason why you are special, because I agree with you. Like, one of my favorite things, in not just in having a podcast, but in the businesses and everything else, you know, is sometimes you just reflect and you're just accidentally like, it's crazy for me, you know, and I think Brent too, you know, for us to call and be like, yeah, bro. So that one episode with this guy. No, that was Mike. Oh, no, that was Tyler. Oh, no, that was Todd. And we're like, well, fuck. We've had like, you know, like it's cool to look back and be like, yo, this podcast has been going pretty well, you know. But the reason why I love that so much is because I love nothing more than to remind people like there's nothing special about me. I just do it. And that's it. And the fact that you're like, you're saying, you know, there's nothing mind busting. There's nothing, you know, I just did it, but that's what makes it special because not everybody does it. Like, I agree with you. Everybody can, but not everybody does. And it's I wish more people just did shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of been my, like, you have me over here fucking, wondering if I need to like rethink my social media a little bit. I'm like, can I start posting other things?
Sure got to rethink my social media.
Dude, well, because like, it's so funny. Like, I feel like, and if I could be totally wrong, I was laughing so hard with McKenna about this, my girlfriend, McKenna. And I was like, I saw Jonas post like a couple days ago. He was like shooting jump shots at the gym, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, fuck it, you know, I play basketball a lot, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, so I was like, let me, you know, reach out, like it's just a nice way to say hello, you know. So I put my phone down at the gym and I'm like doing some little things like some good crossovers and then whatever step back jumper or whatever, you know. And I post it and tag him, you know. I was like, I saw you shooting around, figured I'd join you.
Yeah,
and it was the funniest thing. Like, a lot of people, including John Gata, you know, messaged me and were like, bro, what the fuck? Like, I didn't know you could play basketball. And I was like, I feel like everybody thinks I'm like this square that just doesn't know how to do shit, you know? So I'm like, maybe I should just start posting more.
You're good at a lot of shit, man.
Yeah, no, I think you'll connect with people in a obviously in a different way than you maybe thought you would. For me, when you start to dabble in more of the controversial stuff, I'm just willing to deal with people like telling me I'm a piece of shit. You know, I'm willing to deal with that, and hopefully they just go away. You know, I'm willing to lose people. Like, that's my thing.
Yeah.
My follower number, I don't really think very highly of it. I think it comes with automatic status because you have a K next to your thing. I think you do get auto status. People fall on your page and they're like, oh, he must be somebody. But at the same time, there's complete assholes with a lot of followers, you know, that I don't want anything to do with. And then I know many people that are the most amazing dog minds and just most interesting people that don't have shit for followers. So in the grand scheme of things, having a lot of followers isn't that significant in my mind. So I'm willing to like deplete and just find like this really core group of people that want to see me shoot hoops, that don't mind my boxing and don't mind my championship. Like I said, like, that's what I'm willing to just die on the hill. And the thing is, I got my following doing X, right? And now I confused people because now it's like, well, it's A, B, C, D. It's A through Z now. It's like, well, wait a minute, that's not what I'm used to. So like, you're gonna lose people. But this is what I say is this: if you got a problem with anything that I'm passionate about, so much so that you're gonna leave, then you weren't meant to be here.
For
anymore.
you.
Right.
We'll see you later. It was fun while it lasted. But yeah, it'll take a toll on the mind though. If it's something that I've worked up, like I've been losing people from the time that I switched up, which was years ago, so I've had time to work on, even people I know unfollowing me. Right. So I'm just like, I'm almost prepared for anybody to leave. So it doesn't hurt my feelings.
Right.
So I like put up this guard, but on the token, on the other side, I got people that just DM me every day, man. I fucking love that. I love you. And I love that. Cause I speak for people, like
right.
in certain regards, and so it really draws in the folks. I don't suggest it for everybody. It's just for anybody that feels like they want to fucking say what they want. Anybody that feels passionate about not withholding something they want to publicly, politics, dude, you either want it. I don't really get super political. The harpoon and all this CUFID shit, that's become politicized. But at the end of all that,
What's the harpoon?
The juice, the sauce, the fucking
the vaccine,
that shit, that's become super politicized.
I had no clue that's what it's called.
So, like that is just fucking freedom of, that's like, yeah, it's become political, but like, I don't talk about Paul. I don't really give a fuck about any of them because Biden or Trump, I don't feel like they give a fuck about me personally. So I don't really, I'm not really on them like that. They've done a good job of creating a gnarly division with that. And I don't really fuck with that. I don't really fuck with that at all. I just, I look at it and I see it and I'm like, oh God, I do think that our current commander in chief is a buffoon. I think it's a bit buffoonery. I think, he fumbles and mumbles and can't even speak. And that's just embarrassing to me, like, regardless of what he thinks of the policies and all that. I mean, he can't read a goddamn teleprompter, and that's embarrassing for me, like, as an American, because I know everyone else is looking at that like, oh my God, like, this guy's, the thing, like, whatever. That's my take on that.
There's certain things you look for in any leader.
Like,
are there any leaders that actually make the cut? Are there any ones that we go, that one?
I've never really, like, even with Trump, like, I don't know. Like, I think I would prefer Trump over Biden, but I look at it like, politicians and shit. I just don't trust very many of them, because there's always the agenda for power there, Trump's a guy that just fucking probably loved that power too, and like, and then he made it.
Well, that's like, even for myself, I don't get caught up in it because it's a whole different game. I don't want to play.
Yeah,
like,
me
I'm
neither.
over here,
and like, people
my own
are surprised
my own game
about me because I'm so American flaggy. They think, they think otherwise, but I'm very much so. I consider myself like a centralist. If you're talking about like, political.
I didn't know that was a word, but I want to be that. I'm a centralist.
So it's like in the middle, you have kind of conservative and liberal views, so like libertarian.
Moderate? Is that what that's called?
Yeah, maybe like, I guess.
Yeah. Or
like
traditional liberal or whatever. There's all
it's
kinds of
because I'm a
names for it.
Libra. Because I'm a Libra, my sign,
Yeah.
I'm a Libra. I'm
and
in
like,
the middle. I like balance.
I fully, like, I just don't mind people, all these like hardcore conservatives have a problem with gay people and all that shit. And like, I don't at all. Like, I'm so pro be who you are and what you want to be. Right.
Yeah.
So
pro freedom. It's
exactly,
like, just
I'm
be free.
Super pro
just
freedom,
be free.
which is why I don't fuck with the harpoon thing. Like, I don't fucking want that. I don't want to get it. And, they've made it to where they hate you now if you don't want to, and I'm like, well, fuck you then, like, if you bought in that much that I'm now a piece of shit and nothing I've ever done and all the good in my life that I have done, great family guy, love to help people. If I'm a piece of shit because I don't want the sauce, well, then you weren't meant for me. Like,
well, there's a lot of things that get politicized that
Yeah.
are just personal choices, and that's just what it is.
for sure.
We want to take another commercial break right now,
Do it.
and we're just going to go ahead and take a commercial break, and we'll come back, and we're going to go ahead and finish up this episode of the podcast. We'll see you guys in a little bit.
Hey guys, Mariano here with the Dog Trainers Podcast. You want to know the best way to help us grow? By subscribing and leaving us a review. It helps others find us, ranks us higher on search results, and broadens our ability to connect with amazing listeners just like you. And now, back to the show.